Hello, Bobby.
Hello.
You playing Reggie on vinyl?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what attracted you to the part?
Yeah, an incredible script, an incredible team. You know, I had been working with Terry and Marty on Boardwalk Empire when this came to me, and I just thought that the script was phenomenal. I thought that the character was exactly the kind of character I wanted to play, filled with urgency and desperation, and really set within a world that I find to be very exciting, and that I think most people find to be exciting, the kind of world of music and rock and roll.
Does music play a huge part in your life?
It does, yeah. I mean, I've always been I'm my mother's son, so I wake up in the morning and I put music on. My mom was like that, and I'm like that, and I love having music around all the time, so yeah, definitely.
What kind of music do you usually listen to?
You know, it depends on the day. I listen to all kinds of music, so it really depends on the day. I have a baby now at home, so I've been mixing in a lot of classical music to try to help soothe him. But I generally like to listen to singer-songwriter stuff, and I really love the music from the era. I particularly like 1970s era Bob Dylan.
Oh.
I like early Bruce Springsteen.
Very vinyl-esque.
Yeah, right. I really did always really like this era of music, in particular, early 70s. I always really did like to listen to that kind of music. And but I do listen to some new stuff as well. And now, ever since the shows come on, I get a lot of music sent to me. So.
And do you play an instrument?
I don't. I had to learn how to play some guitar for the pilot. So I have a great guitar that Lenny Kaye gave me. He taught me how to play the one little song that I get to play in the movie and in the pilot. And Lenny, of course, is Patti Smith's longtime guitarist, and he taught me how to play Sweet Jane. And so I take my guitar out every day and I play the opening chords to Sweet Jane pretty much every day.
I'd like to mention some moments of your life and which songs remind you of these particular moments, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Like, what makes you think of the first acting job you ever got?
The first acting job I ever got was in a musical, and I was a little kid. So it was the play Guys and Dolls. I think about the song "I Got the Horse Right Here" from Guys and Dolls. I can hear the guys that were singing that song in my play, and that's the first time I was ever on a stage. Yeah.
And do you remember the first movie you've ever seen in a theater?
Pinocchio, Grease. I remember I saw Grease in a movie theater, in a drive-in movie theater with my mom.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
The first acting job you got and you were really proud of, or maybe the most satisfied with your work you were with? Which song reminds you of that?
You know, I remember when I was shooting The Station Agent. It's like 12 years ago now, and we were shooting in New Jersey in the summer, and it was like 3-week shoot. It was really short, and I was driving with Peter Dinklage, and I remember I had an iPod, and I was just constantly playing this Marshall Tucker Band song called "Can't You See?" And I would play it, and Pete and I would sing the shit out of that song every morning on our way to work. For some reason, whenever I think of The Station Agent, I think of that song, "Can't You See?" I don't know why.
You did a lot of theater works. What song would make you think of the first standing ovation you've got?
Oh, wow. A Commodore's song called "Still." It's played at the very end of a play I did called "The Motherfucker with the Hat." And it was a play that I did about 5 years ago. And it was maybe the best play I've ever been a part of, definitely. And at the end of the play, I come back to the woman who I love, and I have a cassette tape in my pocket, and I put it on, and I press play, and it's the Commodores singing "Still." And then we look at each other, and the lights go out, and the crowd would always go crazy. And I remember the first time we did it in front of an audience, and when the lights came up, they were all standing up.
Wow. And the first music album you ever bought?
My mom used to buy me records because she loved records, and the only way that I would ever get good grades, like I would get good grades because she would buy me records. So my mom would buy me, like, I was obsessed with the Beatles when I was a kid. And so all the Beatles records my mom would buy me as long as I got good grades. And I remember I think maybe the first time that I bought a record with my own money, given to me by for my birthday, was probably like Double Fantasy.
Oh.
John Lennon record.
Yes. Okay. Good choice.
Yeah.
And the first kiss you've given or received?
Yeah, Anna Frigerio.
Still.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Her name was Anna Frigerio, and it was like in a little like vestibule in the local high school, which was next door to our apartment building in Union City, New Jersey. And it was like 1980. And what song? Start Me Up.
Oh.
By the Stones, because that's the first concert that I ever went to.
Okay.
So it was probably a little later, maybe it was like 81. And I went, I was really young to be going to a concert like that, but I went because I was in the choir at my church, and the only reason my mom would have let me go was because I went with them, and it was like a little church trip, a choir trip, went to see the Rolling Stones Tattoo You concert at Giant Stadium, and I remember going, and I remember like, it was around that time that I had my first kiss. She was older than me, Anna Frigerio, and she just pulled me into this vestibule and put her tongue in my mouth. And I remember the song Start Me Up, and I remember it because there's a line in it, and on the radio they used to bleep it out, and at the end of the song he's singing, Mick is singing, and he says, "You make a dead man come." And I was like 11 years old, and I didn't know what that meant, but I just knew it was bad, like really bad. And I would walk around, and I'd like sing it. And I remember going to see that concert and like waiting for that moment. And it was like, I was just a little kid, and I remember just screaming it, "You make a dead man come." And like, I didn't know what the hell it meant, but I knew it was bad.
What's the song right now that you can't stop listening to?
Banana Phone by Raffi, because of my son. So there's that, but let me give you a cooler answer than that, because
That's cool.
I cannot get that song out of my head. That's the song. I can't get Banana Phone out of my head.
Okay, that's great. And for the last question, if the audience were to remember one thing about vinyl, what would it be?
I particularly love the scene where Richie goes to see the New York Dolls at the Mercer Arts Center in the first episode that Marty directed. When he's in the audience and he gets woken up again by the music, and the New York Dolls literally bring the house down.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Actually, about the bands in the show, among all the bands that were portrayed in the show, which one were your favorites?
Well, I love the New York Dolls. I always loved the New York Dolls. I loved the New York Dolls way before. I just really liked them. I introduced that band to a lot of my friends who didn't know it, because I remember hearing about them when I was a teenager and just being super into them. So I was really happy when they were like an integral part of the storyline. I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, and he's mentioned in the series. I'm a huge Bob Marley and the Wailers fan. I just love the music in the show. I like Alice Cooper. I even like England Dan Ford, John Ford Coley, whatever. But I think the New York Dolls are probably my favorite of the bands that we feature.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I played it really cool, but inside the mission was get Elle Fanning. Oh. And luckily we both agreed.
Yes. Went out nicely.